For once, I will actually show a game where I play with the white pieces, and this game was against an online computer, rated between, well, it varies between, I would say, 2050 to 2350, something like that. But it's hardly ever below 2000 anyway. At this point, it was rated around 2200, so it's a fairly strong engine, and it tends to beat a lot of people, regardless of their ratings. Actually, I don't know what's going on, but it is fairly strong. It's not as strong as Komodo 9 and all the Fritz and Stockfish engines or something, but it's definitely strong enough for most people anyway. So anyway, this was a blitz game, 3 minutes. So let's have a look. I was white. I played d4, d5, knight f3, knight c6. So this is a fairly short game, just 27 moves. So I don't expect my video to be very long. e3. My idea is to play c4. One could also play c4 at an earlier point here, for example here immediately, and sometimes black would take. But you can also try to hang on to that pawn, and it can be a little bit annoying when you're playing a machine, because sometimes different engines tend to hold on to that pawn for quite a while, and then you're just, well, you're in a way you're down a pawn, but in the same time you're trying to win it back, and that can be a little distraction. So I think it's better not to do that unless you definitely know that you're going to win it back, because there are variations where black can play a6, b5 and so on. Anyway, so we have this position, and the computer playing out f6. I play c4. Here it's okay to play c4, because even if black takes, I can just develop my bishop immediately and recapture. So of course the computer doesn't play like that, so he played e6. So I'm kind of delaying. For example, I don't want to play bishop d3, because then perhaps the black would take, but black can also play a6 and just delay d takes c, and then if that would ever happen, then black has b5 and the white bishop has to go back, and then bishop b7 or something like that. I played a3. I have no idea if this is part of opening theory. It is actually. I think it makes sense, because very often white wants to play knight to c3 or just anything, perhaps queen c2, but then you have to keep an eye on something like bishop b4 check. You have to keep an eye on knight b4 if you play queen c2 and so on, and then perhaps at some point there's also knight to e4. So I think it's better. I think a3 makes sense, and also it prepares perhaps at some point to play b4. So knight to e4. I could play knight to c3, but then sometimes black will take the pawn on c4, and even though it might look like white has a nice structure inside it, but I don't like it too much, especially not against computers. So I play queen c2, and probably my next move will be knight to c3, bishop e7, knight c3, and now if the knight takes, if I didn't have my queen on c2, I would have to play pawn takes, but now if the queen takes c3, my structure here on the queen side is intact. Okay, castles, bishop e2, d takes, bishop takes, and now there is no knight to a5, for instance, which is also a move that can happen quite often, especially, or either knight to a5 or, for example, after a6 then b5 that I was talking about. Okay, bishop d7. Just developing a piece. That bishop on d7 looks very passive in my opinion. Okay, so I castle a5. a5 stops b4, so I can't play b4 immediately, because if I do, then after a takes b, there's a rook hanging. Well, okay, yeah, of course I would just lose a pawn. So I played b3, and my idea is to play bishop b2, because obviously I don't want to play bishop d2. b2 makes more sense. But after a4, yeah, of course I'm going to play b4. Queen c8. Okay, I haven't explained or even tried to explain the moves that the computer made. I don't quite see the point with queen c8. Maybe h6 will stop something like knight g5 perhaps, or, well, okay, I can't play knight g5 anyway, but I mean at a later point. I think, yeah, I don't quite see. Maybe, I don't know why queen c8 actually. Okay, bishop e2. So my moves tend to make more sense than black's, at least so far. Bishop f6. It looks a little bit dangerous perhaps because the bishop is lined up against my queen here. But, you know, there's also a pawn in between. Rook ac1. Makes sense. So I'm developing my rook. I'm putting on this potentially open file. Against his queen, by the way. But again, there's a pawn in between. Rook e8. Rook f to d1. Rook d8. So it looks almost like the computer doesn't know what to do. Kind of shuffling the pieces around. Bishop d3 is... I actually ran a quick analysis of this game. Not in depth, well, like I said, just a quick analysis, and the computer recommended bishop d3 as well as other moves like bishop b2, rook c1 and so on. Okay, so g6 is probably not a very good move. I'll play queen c2, and the idea with queen c2 is that, well, I'm kind of attacking these pawns. It looks a bit silly right now because if I take, then I would just lose a piece for nothing. But bishop e7, I have no idea what the point is. I'll play at h4, and the idea with h4 is that I want to play h5, and then if it takes, there's a pawn hanging on h7, and if it doesn't take, then I will take, and then I will probably sacrifice my piece. So let's see. Queen b8, again another move I don't quite understand. And here h5, b5, h takes g6, h takes g6, and now the sacrifice. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. Okay, so king f8. Yeah, I suppose that's the only move. Queen f8, queen h6. I didn't see e5 immediately here, or sorry, d5. Like I said, it was a blitz game. So just a repetition here. Queen g6, the king goes back, and now d5. And my threat is, well, I have two threats. One is to simply win a piece, and the other one is to more or less give a checkmate. So, for example, let's say this, just to make a silly move here, let's say knight to a7, then I have check, this move here, oops, so this is the only move, and now I can play just this, and if it goes up, I haven't even analyzed this, so I don't really know. This should be completely lost because the computer resigned. So let's see. Let's take a look at that one more time. Obviously, there has to be a win here. Okay, I can also do this, this, yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, so after e5, the computer played. Let's see what actually did happen. Okay. It didn't do anything. So after e5, oh yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit confused here. I played d5, and the computer played e5, and then I just took the piece. Okay, so that's what happened. So the computer resigned after 27, d takes e6. I think there was another move here, as usual. Not sure exactly what. Oh, okay, I think it was just to flip the board a little bit. I think after d5 and e5, the computer suggested this move for some reason. Okay. But anyway, so d5, e5 takes, and the computer resigned.